Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Samantha Leighanne and I talk about books. So the year has come to a close and we're in 2018. It's crazy to say that. I'm pretty sure I said these exact same words at the beginning of my 2017 reading goals video. But that aside, today we are going to be talking about 2017 as a year in review. So we're going to be talking about what goals I set in 2017. Did I accomplish those goals? And then we're also going to talk about what my goals were as a channel in 2017 and, how I feel like I fared there. And then 2018 goals will be in another video. So decided to split them up instead of keeping it together for, the sake of time. My goals for 2017. I will link that video up above just in case you want to subject yourself to watching that. I don't think you will, but it's there just in case. So the goal that I set for myself on Goodreads as far as the number of books that I wanted to read was 75. I absolutely crushed that goal with the number 122. I have never read more than 100 books in a year before, and that is absolutely astounding. And it would be even higher if I hadn't taken off time towards the middle of the year. So I am floored that I read that many books, and I think that's amazing. And even though that number is higher and I was a little bit concerned about quality versus quantity, I had an excellent reading year in terms of what I rated things, but I'll get into a little bit more of like the stat side of it in just a minute, because I have stats and I have graphs and it is amazing. I feel like that episode of How I Met Your Mother where Marshall kept like making graphs and stuff. If you've ever watched How I Met Your Mother, yes, I'm aware that it's a trash show and Ted Mosby is an asshole, but I love that show. I can't help it. So another thing that I wanted to do for 2017 was read more classics. And I didn't really accomplish that all that well. I read 9 classics, which isn't terrible, but that's less than 1 a month. Whatever, 9 is still good. I'm gonna call that a win, because it's better than the 0 that I would have read. So another goal that I had set for myself, or a challenge that I wanted to participate in, was called Retro Rereads, and it was pretty much where you pick 12 books out of the year, 1 for each month that you wanted to reread during the calendar year. So I only reread, out of the selections that I had picked, I only read 4 out of the 12. So that was a spectacular fail. However, overall for the year, while I had picked out 12 books and only read 4 of those, I did end up rereading 13 books overall for the year. So another thing that I wanted to do was completely reread the Dark Tower series, and I definitely accomplished that. I also think that's partially what contributed to the reading slump that I was in, because I finished the Dark Tower series and I was just like lost and I was heartbroken all over again. It gave me the worst book hangover that I can remember having in the longest time. So that was a win. And the very last goal that I set for myself was to read more diversely. And I wanted to participate in diversity bingo, which was pretty much this giant bingo square. It was 36 squares. Each square represented a different rep, and you would read a book from that rep. So because I went through that book slump, I think that it definitely kind of put a damper on me being able to achieve that. And out of the 122 books that I read this year, only 22 of them I would consider to be diverse. So I definitely have some work to do in that category, but that's okay. I'm not going to sweat it. I'm just gonna keep on keeping on, go forward. Okay, so now let's get into the part about the actual stats for what I read this year. So again, total number of books that I read for 2017 was 122. So when we break down genres, my most read genre is adult science fiction and fantasy, which I read 21%. Next biggest category, YA. I did not pull that into any kind of like sub genres like science fiction or like fantasy or contemporary or anything like that, and that was at 15%. As I said, next one, I read a lot of graphic novels, and that was 12%. Comic issues at 10%. Just general fiction 8%, and the rest of it you can see over here in this chart. So definitely read a lot of just one genre. So I definitely in the next year want to try and broaden that just a little bit. So in addition to reading 122 different books, the total number of pages was 31,437. So I'd say that's a nice big number. Average pages 263. I did read several tomes this year. So when we break down physical or digital, 48% of what I read was physical, 55% was digital. That's including audiobooks and ebooks. So audiobooks, I listened to 383 hours of audiobooks, and I listen to them at an increased speed. It's usually somewhere in between 1.5 and 2 times speed. So when you break that down, I average that at 1.75. So I actually only listen to 218 hours of audiobooks. When we break down author gender, I definitely read more male authors than female authors. 60% of the books that I read were by male authors, 43% were by female authors. So I want to do some work there in the next year. Read more female authors than male. So then when we go into publishing year, I won't break this one down all the way, but the two sections where I read the most, books published between 2010 and 2016, 46% of what I read was from those years, and 25% was from 2017. Everything else was kind of sprinkled in between. The 2 months where I read the most books were March and September. Both of those I read 18 different books. The next one was actually December with 16, October with 15, and the worst month that I had was the month of August, where I only read 1. Star rating, I read 35 5-star books. I think that's a lot of like graphic novels. It probably is. Because like I know I rated Lock and Key 5 stars and a couple other things, so I think that's why that's so high. 46 4-star books, 29 3-star books, 11 2-star books, and 1 1-star book. As I said before, I ended up having a really good reading year, which was really nice. And that average comes out to 3.96 stars. So that's almost an average of 4 stars. So that's really awesome. So again, while I read a lot of books, I definitely did not sacrifice quality over quantity. Longest book that I read this year was It by Stephen King, clocking in at over 1,000 pages. Shortest book that I read was one of the issues of Skin and Earth, which clocked in at like 30 some odd pages. So definitely a very stark difference there. So that's pretty much all I have in terms of stats. I find these things really interesting. Another reason that I'm making this video is, again, just kind of like to hold myself accountable and to be able to compare next year to this year, just to really see what that looks like. I plan on going in and watching my 2016 wrap up later, just to, you know, really see how things have changed there. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you all had a wonderful reading year as well. If you have a end of year wrap up video, link it down below so I can watch it. All of my social media links can also be found in the down bar below. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.